before I turn it over to Matt, I'm going to ask you to tell me the story of how you uh, met Father Bauer and how you began to sort of follow your hockey dream after listening to him. Would you be able to do that, Tom?
Yeah, happy to do that, Wally. Thanks. And I'm good till 9:15.
Super.
So I'm
okay.
looking forward to listening to the other fellas. And I just want to make a quick comment, Willie, or Wally, on you and the Sharks. And for those that aren't here, I pay attention to what you send me. And I appreciate that. I really very much appreciate those on the call, of course, but the many others that have involved themselves in discussing the game and where it is and why and where it could go and why. I think that the voice of wisdom is too long overlooked. I believe wholeheartedly in communities engaging with retired individuals from whatever walk of life, to make sure that there is an opportunity to relate to to young people and future leaders in their communities in whatever domain they decide to involve themselves in. In 1967, my minor hockey association in Cranbrook, British Columbia, were fortunate enough to have Father Bauer come and speak to our wind-up banquet. And I was obviously grateful to be there, and I'd heard about Father Bauer. I was 12 years old at the time. I knew a little bit about him. I was really interested in hearing what he had to say. I have a religious affiliation that allowed me to feel a little bit more close to the message, potentially, I guess, than maybe some others. But that being said, that wasn't what qualified the evening. What qualified the evening as a man of the clock was coaching hockey, which we all grew up loving, of course. And I thought this would be really quite interesting to hear what he had to say. And while others were stacking little plastic coffee cups and spraying ketchup all over each other's backs and whatnot, playing games at the tables, I was wholeheartedly listening. And I was really enthralled by Father Bauer, his presence, his demeanor, the language that he spoke was easily acceptable to all individuals in the room. It just really resonated with me, and I understood wholeheartedly about Team Canada and the game of hockey and how it can bridge a lot of gaps, worldwide, and that the greatness of the game and the people in it, and that it was very much authentic to Canada, of course, and that it made Canadians what they are in many, many ways. And, amongst other messages that really, really resonated with me. And from that point on, I thought to myself, I'm going to play for the national team at some point in time. That's my goal. And as I went through my hockey career and didn't grow and wasn't tough enough to be a Philadelphia Flyer kind of person, I actually thought the prospects of playing for the national team might even be better because of Father Bauer's impact on skill development, the development of the individual, having a personal set of values that would integrate well into a team setting. But it never came to fruition. I did attend the University of North Dakota as what I call the stopper, the guy that sat on the bench and stopped the defenseman from bumping into the forwards. So I had the best seat in the house. That being said, and thinking back to my days, at that banquet, I thought to myself, and I wrote this down and I've got it with me. This is a little card that I wrote to myself in 1976 at the University of North Dakota. I wanted the goal set. And along with some of the information that Father Bauer had shared, sense of independence, sensitivity, perseverance, sense of realism, foresight, frankness, and curiosity, I wrote down 5 things that I wanted to achieve by the time I was 35, and always had, I always had a spiritual connection anyway to a higher power, and still do. And so this really helped me kind of at a tough time in my life. I wasn't playing. I was, going to school, doing okay, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So I wrote down this. Be valued at $500,000. This is by the time I was 35. Be married with children. Attend church regularly. And I have to be honest with you, I don't, but I drive by it often, and I do stop in when it's quiet and do the Stations of the Cross and do my thing, and away you go. I've got a great Yarmar Yager story to share with you. And the last one was coach Canada's national hockey team. This was in 1975. We all know what happened right around then. And by the time I was 37, the old Hockey Canada had hired me to coach along with Danny Dubé, the national team for Canada, and I was head coach of the Olympic team in Lillehammer in 1994. And Father Bauer's picture's right over there. And I relate to that often, and for what I believe are all the right reasons, and that's just being an empathetic person, owning what your stuff, if you will, and trying the best you can to leave your legacy in people, not trophies and medals and championships.
Tom, thanks very much. I think myself, I only had 1 year with the team. Father Bauer wasn't even coaching, but he was around, and I was affected similarly to you. And I think the journey I took in my life was a result of that 1 year. Matt Hoven, you've taken the trouble to research and go back to all generations that have worked with him at different ages and played under him at St. Mike's. You've connected with the family. I'm just going to let you tell me how you got into researching the book and how it eventually came to fruition.
Thanks, Wally. Thanks for your story, Tom and Wally, and it's good to meet everybody. For me, it was a matter of just wondering why hasn't anything really been written about Father Bauer? There's some articles, newspapers. About 8 years ago, a book came out, but it was more of this hockey guy, and he was this mysterious figure. And I thought if I really wanted to understand him and what he was about, it was important to dig deeper into his life and into his story. So it's called Hockey Priest because instead of seeing him being a priest as just like Tom said, it was different. Like, how does he put this together? That was my curiosity as well, but I'm not trying to also run away from it. I think it's important to just say, oh, he was a priest. How did that influence, or what was it? So it's not a book just for Catholics. It's not about saying that, it's not trying to be sectarian or supporting that. It's just trying to say, this is where he was from. And he was from this whole priestly tradition. There were all these Bacillian fathers throughout North America that did sports. And they're really educators. And whatever religious background they were, these were people that cared about the kids playing the sports and wondering about what was most important. So when I got into the book, I was curious about his philosophies and his thoughts about hockey, and ultimately what he was trying to do. And as I wasn't planning to write a full book, a 300-page book about him. I thought, let's just write something about 150 pages, and that'll be it. But once I got into the story, it's an incredible story, his journey, who he connected with. He was a coach for a couple decades, but then he becomes a bit of a diplomat internationally. He gets involved in the old Hockey Canada very deeply. He's at it just from its inception all the way until his passing in 1988. And he just lived an incredible hockey life. And once I got onto the story, I wanted to understand more and get the background. And I just found him a fascinating character, not only in who he met, but what he thought and what he struggled with. It's a story about a human person and really involved at the highest ends of the sport and wondering about its values and what its future is.
Matt, I just wanted to mention something that Tom Malloy, Tom, I have a question for you because it relates to the priesthood. You actually thought about it and did put some time in a seminary, did you not?
Yeah, I spent 1.5 years in the seminary after high school.
Okay. And then you worked in the separate school system in Calgary, coaching sports, high school, junior high school. And I have to say that amongst all of us, Tom's probably got the broadest scope of coaching and experience internationally, far ahead of any of us in our time, because he was exchanging thoughts and ideas long before we were considering the impact of European hockey. So, Terry O'Malley, I want to welcome you from sunny Regina.